Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'm Peggy Flynn. I'm the co-president of the Democratic Women's Club with my friend and colleague, Angela Chestnut. And I'm voting for Kamala Harris. I know that's shocking. But I thought if I wore this, did you know, hot off the press news. So we have a great program today, and we're going to go through the ballots, and Mike Rotkin's going to explain what we're going to do. Next Saturday, we also have a program, same time, same place, where Senator John Laird goes through the state ballot. That's always a really popular program, so we hope you can come early for that. And then over on the table there's a flyer. We have a Zoom coming up this Wednesday, I guess it is, September 11th, for people who aren't sure what they want to do or how to connect with Swing Left, Vote Forward, Indivisible. You know, do you want to write postcards? What is it you'd like to do? So take a flyer or check on the DWC website for that information. So I think we're already started the recording. For folks voting online, and a reminder that members can vote, but you have to have paid and been a member in good standing for at least 30 days. And for folks voting online, we're going to post the ballot several times. We're not going to post it right away. We're going to get the program started and let our speakers start. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mike Rotkin. Thank you.
Thanks, Peggy. Good morning, everybody. The first thing I want to say is we invited all the candidates and both positions on the various ballot measures that we're looking at. We're tight for time, so we were not able to offer you every ballot measure. There's 10 of them out there. We only are looking at 5 this morning. I also want to say that having run for office successfully 6 times, these forums are very difficult because you're being asked to say, what's your philosophy and why should people elect you to office? And you've got 3 minutes to tell them that. And then we're going to ask you a question about some really complicated issue that's confusing and not clear what should be done, and give you 2 minutes to tell us what you think we should do. So it's not easy to be answering these questions. I want to appreciate the candidates participating in this forum. What we're going to do is first start with the candidates for public office in the 3 cities that are holding elections: Capitola, Scotts Valley, and one of the districts in Watsonville, District 6. Then we're going to hear from the ballot measures, pro and con. I'll explain as we get to each item how we're going to proceed in terms of the timing of these things. Let me say that as a Democratic club, we are only legally allowed to invite Democratic candidates for office. These are nonpartisan offices, so for some of these races, there are, in fact, Republican candidates that we did not invite to our forum because we're not legally allowed to do so. We're Democrats, and we're proud of it. And happy to offer you Democrats running for these offices. In terms of the ballot, it says on the ballot how many seats are open for each race, and you can vote for those. You also can vote for no endorsement. You should only vote no endorsement if you really don't like any of the candidates in the race and think it'd be dangerous to have them in office. If you just don't know who these people are, or you don't care that much about that race, just leave it blank, because we don't want to punish people because you don't know what's going on in a different city than where you live. Saying no endorsement is it'll cost somebody. Somebody may not get the 50% they need for endorsement if a lot of people say no endorsement in the race. So I hope people are clear on that. So the first race we're going to hear from is the Capitola City Council. I'll invite the 3 candidates up. One of these candidates, Linda Orbach, called me and was unable to make it today because she had a conflict. She is here. Okay. Then I apologize. I'm glad you're able to make it. We'll see who shows up when we actually do. So let me invite up the Capitola City Council candidates up to the table. Perhaps there's somebody else who's Jerry Jensen. Yeah. I'm sorry, I apologize for that. Was unable to make it. She had a conflict with an event in the city. So they're going to start with 3 minutes each. Angela has explained, we'll let them know when they have 1 minute left. We're going to start with a 3-minute opening comment and go down the row. I'll reverse the order so nobody else has to go first. That's not fair. And then we'll have questions. Each candidate's going to get 2 questions, and they're going to only have 2 minutes to answer them. And then they're going to get a minute to wrap up their thoughts about why they're running for the council. So we're gonna start here with Enrique. He's got 3 minutes and go. Here's the microphone.
Good morning. My name is Enrique Domo Jr. I currently live in Capitola. I've been here for 14 years. I currently work at New Brighton Middle School. I'm the athletic director. I'm the campus supervisor, which is security, transportation, bus driver, and I also am the union president. I have 4 children with my wife and I. She works at SoCal Elementary School District, which is really close. So there's been weeks where I actually do not leave Capitola. I'm running for city council originally because there was a student of ours at New Brighton Middle School who passed away. And I wanted to be sure that our youth in our community has a fair ground to play in. And what I mean by is not all of our students fit in that box. And I do believe that there should be other opportunities for our students. I know that Santa Cruz has a Boys and Girls Club. I know that Live Oak has a Boys and Girls Club, I believe. And I believe Watsonville has a YMCA. And I just think that our community in Capitola for our youth obviously needs something like that for our youth to go to. Also, I'm also for, public safety, of course. I've actually been on the Capitola Police Chief Advisory Board, which I get to put my input on different things that are going on in the county. I also sit on the board of the Capitola Historical Museum Board, which is a great opportunity for me to know more of the history of Capitola. I do believe that, thank you. I do believe that housing is a priority. And going back to what I've said the other night, I do believe the trestle is very dangerous and something needs to be done about the trestle in Capitola before a tragedy happens from, an adult, a youth. And that's what I believe in. Thank you very much.
Go for it. Okay, sorry. My name is Margo Morgan. I am the incumbent this year. I've served on Capitola City Council for the last 4 years. I had a very interesting start to council. I ran during a COVID year, and that was a big part of what motivated me to run and show up for our little city that we love so much. A lot of businesses were really affected during COVID. A lot of people like me, working class, were affected during that time. And I thought it was a great time to show up and really be there for my community. And I was lucky enough to get voted in, and I've been representing for the last 4 years. And I've learned so much, and I've been able to be a part of so many successes for our city that nothing would make me more happier than to continue on with a lot of these projects that, you think 4 years and you're like, oh gosh, that's a really long time. And now I'm thinking, whoa, 4 years just went by, yet there's so many more things that we have just coming up at us all the time, different projects. The wharf was a huge thing after getting through the 2023 storms, and now it is reopened. And I'm really excited to see what we can do with the growth of the wharf and for the businesses that were affected that were out there, and how that can coincide with the businesses in the village and things like that. It has been a pretty interesting time. I got to meet the president when he came, and we toured the village, like our awesome little village, and some Seacliff and things like that. And I've just been really grateful to learn this process. I really didn't have much background, but I'm super community oriented. I work with the community daily. I'm a personal trainer, so I have clients that live within Capitola city limits and some that don't, thank you. But I also run a restaurant and bar down in the village, and so I see people with people day in and day out. I attribute that to a lot of how I can handle certain situations in life. And it's, I'm almost a 20-year resident of Capitola, and I'm definitely invested. So thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Melinda Orbach, and I'm running for Capitola City Council. I'm happy to announce that I got the DCC endorsement on Thursday night as well. I'm a mother of 3 kids. They're 2, 6, and 8. And I'm here today because of the generosity and bravery of so many, of my parents who raised me, of my friends and neighbors who love and support us, and for all in our community here who have fought for and continue to fight for human dignity, inclusivity, justice, opportunity, and equity. I grew up in Oakland, a child of refugees from the Vietnam War, in 3 bedrooms with 4 siblings while my parents worked to pursue the American dream. I know personally what housing instability is like, what hard work and perseverance is like, and what hard-won prosperity looks like. So my whole life, I've gravitated towards service as a family nurse practitioner, as a union steward, as a labor coach, as a tutor, as a parent, as a friend. I'm here to fight for a future where everyone has the opportunity to live where they work and to thrive. I'm here to fight for increasing the quality of life of all of my neighbors, prioritizing transportation, economic development, housing, and just creating a more dynamic future for Capitola. I support the rail and the trail because I believe that we must keep all sustainable transit options available for future generations. I want to ensure that everyone has access to active public transportation options that work for everyone, including our youth and our elders and people who don't drive. I want to decongest our roads and support safe community spaces. So I live by the 41st corridor, and it's historically been underrepresented on city council. I'm here to fight for the economic agency and representation for that side of town because 41st corridor produces 83% of the annual sales tax revenue, and we've been identified to accommodate 90% of the housing in the housing element. I believe our economic future is 41st Avenue, and the community there should have a voice in the policy, in the budgeting, and the shaping of that future. I also believe in a representative democracy where different lived experiences are valued and heard. Because I believe that positive change happens when we create policies that are inclusive and represent the needs of a diverse group of people. We're best most resilient when we come together. I think we can approach policy holistically. As a nurse practitioner, I believe that too. When I treat my patients, we put in a holistic lens, and I want to bring about change in a meaningful way. Thank you.
Hold that mic. So now we're gonna have questions. The first question from all the candidates, we'll start with Melinda on this end, move down, is what should the Capitola City Council do to address our community's housing and homeless crisis? I'll repeat the question. What should the Capitola City Council do to address our community's housing and homeless crisis? You have 2 minutes to respond.
So my husband and I are working parents. We're raising 3 kids, and we live in a 2-bedroom condo in Capitola. Things are going to get tight real soon. We're struggling in terms of where we're going to be able to afford to live when we outgrow that space. So I know housing is an issue. Housing is a regional issue that Capitola also needs to be a part of solving that problem. I think 41st Avenue has a lot of potential. Redevelopment of the mall, where there is mixed-use housing, commercial on the bottom, housing on top. I believe in rezoning the entire 41st corridor so that we can have mixed-use development with housing on top and commercial on the bottom. And I believe in streamlining the permitting process, right? If we can work with our public health, public works department, our development, oh my God, community development department with Katie. I've had multiple conversations with her, but having a zoning administrator, which we have already currently in Santa Cruz and in Watsonville, can help streamline that process. Meaning if a project comes through and is compliant with the objective standards, if it's compliant with all the zoning and the ordinances, it just gets approved without having to go through a subjective planning commission. So that would help streamline development and streamline businesses. Thank you.
Yeah, housing. We all know how tight it is. This entire county is affected by it. Capitola is only 2 square miles. So when you think about adding more, I think it's a scary thought to people, but going off of what Melinda said, we need to streamline the processes and make affordable housing something that is more attractive for builders, for people to step up and create these environments for more of us that need these spaces affordably. I do agree that the mall space, it's been a lengthy project. It's been hard to gain traction with the developers, but we are still in talks with them. I think we could really utilize that space and make it something that Capitola is proud of, and really kind of work in conjunction with the village. And the other thing that is important is ADUs and letting people utilize their space, whether that's to build a space they want to rent a space out with on their property. We want to make sure that we're allowing people to do that, obviously to a scale that represents Capitola as well. You know, we've worked a lot on council with actually one of our mobile home parks just went through a really, really intense time with the gentleman that owns the land. And so we got our community development involved, and we got their HOA involved with a lawyer and made sure that the landowner wasn't raising their space rent an exorbitant amount for these people that were on fixed income and things like that. So we want to continue to work with the community and make sure people's voices are being heard. Thanks.
Yes, affordable housing. My wife and I were able to buy our house under the Obama administration in 2010. Thank God for that, because we would not be able to afford a house in Capitola today. So we live in a beautiful house. We call it the corner house in Capitola, but I understand how it is to not be able to afford a house. And I do believe that we should start in the mall. I think that's a great area to start. I would like to start there personally for me, because we can, but the parking is what is going to be a problem if we start building in the neighborhoods. So I do believe that we need to start at the mall, obviously with some commercial buildings as well. That way we get some more youth in there, so we can also fill our schools, get some more facilities for our children to play in. And I believe that the mall is the best place for us to start that. I believe the other question was
Right, homelessness.
homelessness. Yes, I do believe the homelessness needs to start at the mental facilities. We need to figure out why they're homeless. That's where we need to start. Where do they go? Where is a place for them to go? We need to figure out why they're there, what kind of medical help they need. And that's what I believe. Thank you.
Thank you all. Start in the middle this time, and we'll go that way.
Okay.
So the second question is, what's the biggest transportation problem? What should the city council do about it?
Another hot button item. So, transportation, things are very congested. We also just had our Capitola Bridge demoed, so we have a little less ways to enter into Capitola, which causes more congestion throughout the city. I think the biggest issue is kind of safety, whether that's bicyclist, pedestrian, or even driver safety is kind of something that we've been working on as a council and as a city. We just did a quick build project within the Nob Hill four-way stop area, and there's some controversy along the lines of that, but that is what is the city decided to try to get moving forward some aspects of safer roads for bicyclists, pedestrians, and drivers all alike. So I think that is something that we need to focus on, especially with the rail trail being worked on. We are in the section 10 and 11 of that, so we are going to be having probably more bicyclists come through, and I would love for Capitola to be accessible in that way. But that is something moving forward that we really have to look into and work with the RTC and probably promote, bicycle safety, driving safety, and things like that, especially because we've got New Brighton Middle School and children on e-bikes and things like that, which we need to kind of keep in line as well, which is proven to be very difficult. You would know. But yeah, so I would say just safety overall, traffic is an issue, and hopefully with the developments of section 11 and 10 of the rail, that might help us a little bit. So hopefully, thanks.
Roadways, correct, is the question? Traffic.
Transportation.
Yes, so like I said, I'm in Capitola, I'm on the corner street there, and I get a lot of colleagues and a lot of, what's going on? Why did they put that there? And I said, I try to support the Capitola city, and I know that there was a fatality there, and I try to let people know that they did what they needed to do to make that area safe. It may not be ideal right now because of the Capitola Bridge being gone and school starting. So yeah, if you have a child at SoCal L and you're going to New Brighton, it's a 30-minute wait when in the past would probably be like a 6 or 7. So I know that they're going to think of something. I would prefer putting a light there. I'm not sure why that didn't happen, but I'm sure that they have some kind of a reasoning why that didn't happen. I definitely think that we need more bike lanes, especially in front of New Brighton Middle School, because of the students that are on their e-bikes or scooters going down the lane. I think there needs to be a lane just for the bicycles. I think the police department is doing a good job on educating the youth on wearing helmets. I don't think it's fully complete because all of us were that age at one time, and we think that we're endurable, or we can live forever and nothing will hurt us. So I do think the roadways need more bicycle lanes, more stoplights with the flashing on them. Some stoplights in front of the DMV where you press the button and the light actually comes up in the middle of the street. I think that is another something more that we need in the community as well. Thank you.
So we cannot talk about housing without talking about transportation, because those things are like this. Similar to what's happening in Santa Cruz and in Watsonville, they're planning a new metro station with housing on top. I believe Capitola can do the same. With redevelopment of the 41st corridor, with the new mall redevelopment, we can also advocate and work with Metro to get a new metro station. And I believe that if we can do that with 2 buses with 15-minute headways where people can rely on public transportation, that would help decongest our roads. I also believe in working with the RTC with completing the rail and the trail. I believe in transportation equity. We want to connect our communities. Once we complete segments 10 and 11, which is where Capitola is a part of, then we can hop on our bikes and go to Simpkins, go to Harvard, go to the Boardwalk, go to Santa Cruz, right? I work on this side of town, off of Mission at the PANTH clinic. I can hop on a bike and get to work. Like, I would love that. I believe we can be creative in terms of how we bring people into the village. Like, if we can redevelop the mall, get a new first-class, world-class conference center hotel room, and have shuttles that take the people that are coming into our city. Everyone wants to come to Capitola. We don't need to promote that, but we need a way to get people from the 41st corridor down to the village. And if we can get a shuttle or a trolley, something like the Santa Cruiser that's happening in Santa Cruz, then that can help decongest the roads and help bring about a safer way to get around town. and better and more safe bike lanes too. Thank you.
Thank you. We now each have 1 minute to sort of wrap up your thoughts about your race for city council. Started with Bill.
Well, kind of coming off of what I had said earlier, I've held so much value in these last 4 years, and I'm really excited to continue another 4. I think it's really something I've invested my time in, and like I said, there's so many more things that are coming down the pike for our city that I want to be a part of and want to continue to support the community, support the village where I live and work, and see hopefully these larger projects like the mall, like metro things, like the rail trail. I want to see these things come to fruition, and I'm excited to continue to do so. Thanks.
So our community is changing from our demographics to the way we live our lives. And our government must reflect this new reality and have a vision for the future that's built on progress. I think we have to approach policy holistically, take a diverse economic lens as well as a health equity lens to consider all the positions, challenges, and impacts before we can work together to bring our community into its future. I know that none of our problems are 100% local, and that the solutions will require coordination and collaboration with our regional partners. I also know my heart and my compassion are my strengths. I can listen empathetically to my patients and my constituents and my family members. I make deep connections with the people in my life and help my patients through their health and life challenges by meeting them where they are. I'm always open to having tough conversations, so we can work together with honesty and optimism. Thank you. I gotta stop.
Yes, once again, appreciate being here today. I want to say that everything that I say is actually authentic and comes from my heart. And just living in this community it's an honor to live in this community. It's an honor to work in this community. You know, I'm putting up signs, and one of my favorite things to do is just to talk to the community. And it's just so nice to listen to what our community has to say. And if I'm elected city council, I will continue to do that. I will continue to talk to the residents, the community, police department, anybody who is willing to listen to me talk, because once I get on a roll, I don't stop. So please give me the opportunity for this endorsement. Anything that I say is not being fed from somebody else or a big company with big pockets. I'm just coming from my heart. I'm doing what I feel, and that's just how I'm going to live. Thank you.
Thank you all. Let's have a round of applause for these candidates. Yeah, Jerry Jensen is also running on your ballot. She's not here today. She had a conflict. Thank you again. Have the people from Scotts Valley come up your side.
I'm John. How's it going? That's not. The city, thanks for running our city.
We're now going to hear from the candidates from Scotts Valley for city council there. There are, again, Republicans in the race who are not invited because this is for Democrats only, so by our rules of the state party. I will point out that Kristen Jett is also a candidate. She has some literature on the table. She has a conflict with work. I did invite people to this somewhat late, I think, in terms of like how getting your life together for an event like this. So we give a little bit of sympathy for someone unable to make it, but we're going to hear from these candidates. There we go. Got the signs right. That's great. And it's the same format, but there'll be different, slightly different, perhaps slightly different questions. We'll begin, and again, you can, from these candidates that are running for Scotts Valley, there are 3 seats open in Capitola, so you can vote to endorse 3 candidates for this race. And we'll start on this end, and you have 3 minutes to tell us why you're running for city council. Scotts Valley. Scotts Valley.
Hello. My name is Dustin Lopez. I'm running for Scotts Valley City Council. I grew up in Santa Cruz and I've lived in Scotts Valley for the last 10 years. And so I'm running for city council because I had the opportunity to work in City Hall for the last 12 weeks over the summer. And I was really inspired by the city manager there and the team of people there. And I would like to keep their projects going. I think Scotts Valley has some challenges ahead of it, but I think I could help solve those challenges. And as a young person, I am worried about the future, being able to afford a home here. I love this area. I'm really grateful to have been able to grow up here. And I'm worried about things like climate change and the economy and stuff, but I think a strong community is the most important factor to be able to get through whatever comes up. So that's why I'm running. And my key priorities would be number 1, solving the budget issues in the city. Number 2, getting the town center progress worked on. Scotts Valley is closer than ever before to getting a town center, real downtown feel. My reason for that is the town center would help us a lot with housing and with just getting momentum on building public transit, bike lanes, better pedestrian infrastructure, and things along those lines. And then my other focus would be sustainability, not just from an environmental sense, but from a whole systems-wide sense. I really enjoy looking at things from a systems lens and seeing how everything connects together, understanding all the pieces of it. And so if I were to come to Scotts Valley, I would do that while bringing in new perspectives. I'm of course a lot younger, and I have spent a lot of my childhood years in Scotts Valley. So I not only understand what it's like to be an adult working in Scotts Valley, but also to be a kid and going to school in Scotts Valley and things like that. And so overall, I'm running because Scotts Valley has a reputation of being more conservative and not really changing very much, but I think that's changing, and I've seen a lot of really great projects going on in the city, and I've met a lot of great people, and so I'm really looking forward to being able to contribute to that and make my community stronger for the future. Thank you.
Hello, my name is John Lewis. I'm running for Scotts Valley City Council. Thank you all very much for taking the time to be here today. Thank you for including me. I absolutely appreciate the opportunity. When I was a little kid, I went to Mount Herman Conference Center while I was a member of my youth group leadership team. And I thought the area was beautiful. The redwoods were gorgeous. And I fell in love with the greater Scotts Valley and Felton areas. And my wife and I were looking to start a family, and I've lived in a whole bunch of Bay Area cities. I originally grew up in East Bay, Danville, California, and it's gorgeous in Scotts Valley. The trees are beautiful, the people are nice, everyone is friendly, and the streets are safe. Um, and when we realized that we could be a part of the community, we dove in headfirst. We decided to start a family, and now we have a 4.5-year-old boy who is in Vine Hill and TK, and he is the love of my life. I used to say that about my wife, but now she's my best friend and my partner. And I appreciate her greatly and all of her support. Scotts Valley hasn't really changed a lot in the last 30 years. We haven't really built a whole lot of new housing. We haven't accepted a whole lot of new people in our community, and California is getting ready to go through a growth phase. I'm pro-housing candidate. I was I won the support of the Santa Cruz UB group. I have their endorsement. I'm a supporter of the missing middle housing, which is really wonky, nerdy housing stuff. So if that doesn't mean something to you, please go and look it up. Watch some urbanist YouTube. There's great information about what that means. I also think that we need to work on unlocking the 5th floor of buildings in Scotts Valley. I know that there's some very real things stopping us from being able to build higher than 4 stories. But I think we can address those individual issues and allow us to have more people in town. I also believe that by building houses that are a little bit taller, that include more people, we can also preserve the nature of the edges of town. For every single family home that cuts down trees that we can decide not to build by building taller houses, apartment buildings, condos, we can preserve a little bit more nature. Oh my gosh, time goes so much faster when it's you talking. This is crazy. I think we should build a partnership with the Boys and Girls Club in Scotts Valley to help jumpstart youth programs that were cut during COVID. I think that we need to also work with the PTA for youth representation programs, so our high school and junior high kids can come to city council and tell us what they love about the city and what needs to be improved. Scotts Valley Drive is in massive need of rework, so we can have safe bicycle and walking so our kids can ride their own bikes to school. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
So next. Our first question is the same one as it was for Capitola. What should Scotts Valley City Council do about the housing and homeless crisis that exists in our community? Start with John.
Housing production and homeless crisis are one and the same issue. Building housing is harm reduction. We have a lot of people who are homeless specifically because they can't afford a home. We have people in cars who live there because we've been focusing on permitting parking lots. And I know that's really hard to hear and it's really hard to say, but there's a lot of people who put van life up on a pedestal because they can't live in a home. And instead they choose to live in a parking lot. And if we decide to build new homes that are more affordable and more accessible to everybody, it will prevent homelessness by giving people a home. And I know that might sound revolutionary, but the solution to homelessness is to put people in homes. And I'm gonna let that hang for a second, because we've been turning down the opportunity to build new housing left and right in Scotts Valley, and I think that's a huge shame. We have to do our part for the members of our community and the people who want to be a member of our community. I grew up watching Mr. Rogers, and he said, "Won't you be my neighbor?" And I want people to be my neighbor. Every single person who wants to move into Scotts Valley wants to be my neighbor, and I want to embrace them, I want to lift them up. In Scotts Valley, we have an average household income of $140,000 a year. Every single person who moves into Scotts Valley would have access to a network of people who've been successful professionally, successful raising children, and they would build and grow fabric between people and lift everybody up. And I mean that. I was lucky to be able to afford comfortably coming into Scotts Valley. And there's a lot of people who don't have the means that my wife and I have and our son has. And we need to make a place for them at the table. And we need to leave the light on for them. And we need to hand them a shovel and we need to dig with them. We need to build homes. Homelessness is a housing problem. When I was 20 years old and I was looking to move out of my parents' home, I had the convenience and the luxury of knowing people that had spare bedrooms. I ask around in my community now who's got spare bedrooms, who would be able to rent me a room at an inflation adjusted price that I was in 2000. No one does. We need to fix this. We can do it. We need to permit housing.
So I largely agree with John. I'm also very pro housing. I moved to Santa Cruz when I was 1 year old as a baby, and my mom supported us, worked really hard so we could live here. I'm really grateful for that. I am a low income renter. I have been my entire life, and it's not an unpopular idea at all among people my age that, especially around here, I'm not sure even if I get a good job out of college, I'll ever be able to afford to live here if there is no housing, or at least not without roommates, which is fine for now at my age. But as I get older, I would like to be able to have my own place as well. And so I'm very pro housing for that reason. I agree that homelessness is largely an issue of not enough homes, especially in this area. I've known a lot of people throughout my life who do choose to live in their car or live in their van just so they can live in this area, even though they can't afford a home. So I also would like to see a lot more dense housing in Scotts Valley, including possibly apartment buildings, especially in the areas of Scotts Valley that are currently undeveloped. I think building on the edge of town in the wildland urban interface is risky. It destroys nature and it's more vulnerable to wildfire. So, which is also a major challenge that Scotts Valley is facing. And I also think a big part of that is building up the transportation infrastructure with the housing. When you're low income, you're not always able to afford a car, or if your car breaks, you're not always able to fix it right away. So if we're going to be building homes for low income people, we need to make sure that they have as many transportation options as possible. That means safe bike lanes, protected from cars, good sidewalks that are accessible for people with disabilities, and good bus systems. Thank you.
Okay. Second question that I think with Dustin. What can the city council do to create a vibrant city town center in Scotts Valley? And, obviously, the private sector will be active in some ways around that question. But what's the role of the city council in making that actually happen?
Yeah, so I believe the role in making the town center happen for the city council is just making sure, first of all, that city staff has all the support and resources they need to make that happen, because I think it's important to acknowledge that it's largely the city staff that actually do the work to make these projects happen. And city council is very necessary to support that and decide the direction the city goes, but it's not all them. Secondly, I think making it as cheap as possible for developers to build. I think, unfortunately, I would like to be able to just build homes and build it however we would like, but I think anyone building right now will tell you it's extremely expensive. It's extremely expensive for builders to build it. The materials are very expensive, and developers are not known for taking risks with their money. So making it as easy and simple as possible for people to build homes or build additions on their homes or put ADUs in their yards if feasible, things like that. And yeah, so the town center specifically, though, I think I really want to see it a place where everyone in the community can feel like they belong there, that they're welcome there. They don't necessarily need to spend money to enjoy themselves there. And I think that's really important, because what makes the community in Scotts Valley special is the people, not the location or the amount of homes. So even if we build a lot of homes, if we have community spaces like the town center developed well, then the community will stay strong. And I think a lot of that too also comes with economic development, making sure that there's businesses in the town center that are fun and you can enjoy your time at, like a cafe or a bakery, things of that nature, not just more like giant retail stores that are big corporate. Thank you. Thank you.
Can you repeat the question for me one more time?
Yes. What can the city council specifically do to help create a vibrant town center for Scotts Valley? Understanding that, the private sector plays a role in this, but what's the city council's role?
One of the things the city council can do, if you'll forgive the humor, is make a runway for people to be able to develop more readily. There have been blockers after blockers, slowing down and even stopping the town center development. And we've removed a lot of those with partnership and understanding from the federal government, from our state legislators, as well as the city of Santa Cruz. Thank you, everyone who's come together to move those things out of the way. We still have to work with private businesses that still own some of the land. My microphone seems to be having some issues. And the city council really needs to reach out to the companies that still hold some of the land that is intended to be redeveloped. And we need to make sure that it's able to be redeveloped. We've made a lot of promises and commitments over the last, now I've only been a member of the community here in Scotts Valley for about 5.5 or 6 years, but I've heard that the town center project, my microphone seems to be dying. The town center project has been going on for well over 20 years. And we've built the excitement for this over and over again, and knocking on doors and talking to people. I've heard from a number of people that they're tired of the starts, they're tired of the stops, they're tired of the hope, and they're tired of the failure. So the thing that we need to do is clear the runway in Sky Park. We need to make sure that all the ducks are in a row, and we need to make sure that we understand what our intentions are, and we need to make sure that all the people who own the land that we intend to redevelop are on board. Because right now, there's still some potential blockers that could jump up and bite us. So we need to put the ducks in a row. We need to do the most basic of work to make sure that we can actually do the things that we've told people we can get done. And over the last 30 years, we still haven't done that, and we're continuing to still not do that. So thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
So you now have 1 minute to sort of wrap up your thoughts about why you're running for city council in Scotts Valley.
Mercedes Malloy is not here. And one of the things that she was going to bring up was menstruation products in bathrooms. And I think that idea needs to be represented. So I'm taking some time right now to say that if I was elected city council, it's a slam dunk. Women make up more than 50% of our population. They need to be treated as equals. Their needs need to be met. We need to have menstruation products in the bathrooms and all public restrooms inside Scotts Valley. It's simple, it's easy. We're all human beings and we have needs. So thank you very much, Mercedes, for injecting that into the conversation. I appreciate it. I've worked on a lot of projects that have been under budget. I've worked on understaffed projects. In my professional life, I've worked on infrastructure, a big infrastructure nerd. I love the water treatment plant. I took the Scotts Valley Citizens Academy and I got to take a tour of the water treatment facility, and it was amazing to me. All of the manual processes there are going to be converted over to mechanized measurements, and oh my gosh, it goes so fast. But there's a lot of projects that I'd like to see through, and I'm a huge infrastructure nerd, and I want to give time and attention to those things to see them develop. So Scotts Valley progresses. Thank you.
So last thoughts is I really want to see Scotts Valley as strong as possible in every aspect. That's not just housing and transit, but also making sure that our police are supported. People in Scotts Valley really value the safety that their police department brings, making sure that the city is cooperating with other agencies, with the fire department in the Scotts Valley Fire District, making sure that we're cooperating with the water district and the school district, not just focusing on what we can do, but also thinking about how can we support and cooperate with others so everything works together well, not just individually. And then also infrastructure that is like the wastewater treatment plant, like John said, making sure that's optimized as well as possible, making sure that our sewers have the capacity for when giant storms come through. And, you know, rain, the weather patterns are changing. Rain is coming in smaller bunches. So, thank you.
Let's have a round of applause for the team. Mercedes Malloy and Christian Jenner are also on your ballot. Have literature on the floor with you to look at. And you get to vote for 3 of these candidates for the open seats in Scotts Valley. We also are able to endorse in the races for District 2, where Vanessa Carter is running without opposition. So we didn't decide we had to debate this morning. And in, District 1, where Eduardo Montesino is running, again, without opposition. So you have an opportunity to endorse him as well. But we're now going to hear from the candidates from District 6. I did not hear back from Jimmy Dutra. If he's here, he's certainly welcome to come up. But otherwise, we should be hearing from Trina Kaufman-Gomez.
So we'll begin with a 3-minute comment and why you're ready.
Trina, flip your.
We'll begin with a 3-minute comment on why you're running for the city council in 6th district in Watsonville.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, everybody that is here in attendance, many of you of which I've known. My name is Trina Kaufman-Gomez, and I'm a lifetime resident, the 3rd generation out of 4 being raised right now in the city of Watsonville. Live in my district. I've been there since 1998. I only am about 2 doors out of the next district in terms of living in town and growing up throughout the whole school system that's there. I have been a former city council member where I was 8 years on council, 4 years as a commissioner. I've served on many of the boards that I'm seeing many people here who also served on. My experience comes from the Regional Transportation Commission, having served on AMBAG, LAFCO, Metro, and many of the local social service organizations as well. I currently serve as the advisory board chair for the Salvation Army. I've been on the Salvation Army's board for over a dozen years. So we have been tackling a lot of the issues surrounding those that are experiencing homelessness. My profession is as a mortgage broker. I've been in real estate finance for over 2 decades. So I understand the impact of housing and the challenges that go along with that as well. I have currently, I'm serving as the chair for the Loma Prieta District for Scouts, and that represents the entire county region here. So I'm really heavily engaged in what is going on with the youth program in our community here that will impact, and what we're trying to do is offering those experiences for the youth, for that basic compound, and these will be our future leaders in our community. So I've been very grateful to be very supportive of our youth in scouting in our community here, both boys and girls. And I want to look and reflect on the experience I've had as a council member for the 8 years when I was termed out, and spent the last 4 years working with the organizations in our community, also with the arts, because we were able to be instrumental with getting the Porter building purchased for the arts. And having reflected that and having the conversations outside of policymaking will help me as a council member to bring those ideas and values into the council position and work with the council that right now currently is very divisive. And we know what happens in divisive situations here. So I have done the round robin with all of the directors of the city. I'm doing the round robin with also the council members, and have been deeply rooted in the community with service organizations as well. And for those issues, I believe that I have the experience to come before council and work with people to make some agreements and negotiate and make some policy happen that has been missing in our community for some time. So thank you.
What should the Watsonville City Council do about the problem of affordable housing and homelessness in our community?
Both of those I do have some experience with. One of the issues that we have with housing is we have not had housing development that has gone to purchase since 2006. It was a very successful project, which was of affordable units. So we successfully housed people with purchase that had the ability to gain wealth in order by the ability of them being able to purchase. Since that time, whatever has been developed has been very difficult for private developers that take 6 to 10 years, even 12 years for some of these projects. We need to do a better job to streamline and make it easier for the developers to come in. They're competing against the nonprofits, which are not providing any type of tax revenue to offset the services that the low-income projects are for those that are renting. We need to flip that business model as well to offer the affordable units for sale so that people do have the ability to gain wealth, even if their income levels are for the affordable range. We need to be able to diversify what we're doing here in the community. Unfortunately, that has been a dilemma that we've had. we finally have one subdivision that's probably at the end of the fall that will be coming up. Regarding the homelessness, we have less than $80,000 that is going to the county for the county to address the issue, to take care of what Watsonville's needs are. Our point in time count increased by 60% between the report of 23 and 24. We've had less than 25% of the funds that were raised for this county to be sent south of Live Oak District. Until we have a plan, we really can't go and ask for help. We are working on doing some workshops so that we can actually engage the public on what the public's needs and requests are. With the closure of the navigation center, it's physically impact everything that we're doing in our community, as there's no safety net provider within the community of Watsonville currently. There is a project for the micro village that's going in that will be very isolated in what it's going to do for any solutions in our community, unfortunately. Thank you.
Final question. What would you focus on as a Watsonville council member in terms of economic development for the city of Watsonville?
Economic development needs to be balanced. We do need the jobs for the housing that we're providing here so that we don't have as much going on to impact what's happening transportation-wise in the community. We have been a backroom community for decades. So we build the housing, they will come, people will have them here, and then they're on the highways trying to go elsewhere in terms of affordable wages or wages that are sustainable for our community. We do need to balance that out. LAFCO has also impinged the city of Watsonville for some of the land use development, that we need to have that flexibility to bring in some of the corporations and businesses that could provide sustainable jobs and careers in our community. We have jobs in our community that we can't even hire people for because of the imbalance of the value of the properties and affordability in our community. We're missing a dozen officers. We have the fire department that's short of staff. We have only 2 civil engineers that are managing in our public works department. And until we actually balance out that solution, we're going to have an issue with the sustainable jobs that are here. So I would really want to make sure that we're encouraging, how do we bring businesses in that have an interest? How do we also educate the community members on the skill set that these businesses would need if they were to come to our community? They can't come to our community with a box and have no skill set for anybody to hire to come in and work for them. So we need to have this also working in collaboration with some of the companies that would offer sustainable wages. I think we've lost some. Dovey, I think, went north, and it would be ideal if we were able to find out what it would take for us to get people that are in our community skill set enough to be able to get some of those sustainable wages. So we have quite a few challenges in our community, and I look forward to working more on getting more economic sustainable jobs in this community. Thank you.
You now have a minute to wrap up while you're running for the Watsonville City Council.
Thank you. I think that many people are asking me why. Why do I want to come back on this particular county, this community and council? One thing is, I haven't seen a presence of our community and council members out and about. Socially, I'm out and about quite a bit. I've been a Rotarian president for a couple of times. I've done many service projects for many of the organizations in this community. I'm raising my grandson with my daughter here in this community that we want better for them. And we want to make sure that we have access to some resources and to be able to offer that and to let them know that they're in this community and how to get them, how to get to them. And I want to be able to reflect on the complications and the frustrations I've had on the boards that I've been serving, primarily what's going on in terms of those that are experiencing homelessness, Salvation Army and the resources there, and frustrated that we're not getting enough attention in the south end of county to remediate many of the problems and alleviate that issue, or the wraparound social services that we need in this community. Thank you.
Let's have a round of applause for this. Let's have a round of applause for all of the candidates. Now we're going to hear about a number of ballot measures. Unfortunately, again, there were 10 ballot measures. We just didn't have the time to see all of them. Unfortunately, some of the speakers here didn't get their full 3 minutes or whatever, so we may get this done in the 2 hours that we have scheduled. We're going to hear from basically each side, pro and con, for the ballot measures. We'll hear from each of them in 5 minutes each. There's no questions or complications here. They just get a chance to tell you 5 minutes why you should either vote for or against the measure in question. The first question before us is Measure Q. So let's have the proponent for Measure Q come up and explain what Measure Q is. Pick up the microphone. Stand where we like or sit.
Small people stand in order to be seen and visible. Good morning, and it is my honor to be here with you, the Democratic Women's Club of Santa Cruz County. It's a really exciting time to be a Democratic woman, a Democrat in general. So I want to thank you on behalf of the Yes on Q campaign, the Water and Wildfire Protection Act. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to earn your endorsement for Measure Q. My name is Sarah Newkirk, and when I'm not campaigning for this measure, I am the Executive Director of the Land Trust of Santa Cruz County. I've been protecting land in California for most of my 25-year career. And I can tell you that even by our state's high standards, we live in an extraordinary place with abundant, superlative natural and working lands. These beaches, forests, floodplains, farms, and parks have been protected from development by generations of Santa Cruz County residents with the foresight to protect land for the many values it provides for our communities. It provides food, clean water. When properly managed, we have safe forests that reduce the risk of wildfire, our recreational opportunities, and our abundant wildlife. But it's not an exaggeration to say that our land base is under siege here in Santa Cruz County. We actually have in Santa Cruz County the 4 horsemen of the climate change apocalypse, with sea level rise, with intense precipitation, extended intense drought periods, and the potential for catastrophic wildfires. But it's also not an exaggeration to say that what we do with our land base can mean the difference between resilience and devastation. A well-managed and stewarded floodplain reduces flood risk to our communities and helps keep the water clean. A well-managed forest takes out dried up fuels and reduces the risk of catastrophic wildfire. Natural shorelines can mitigate the impact of sea level rise, and we get all of that on top of the extraordinary wildlife habitat, the recreational opportunities, and the many, many values that we've invested in caring for these lands to provide to our communities. Taking care of land is hard work, and I'm particularly proud of the Land Trust's role in both protecting land and stewarding it in this county over our 46 years of existence here. But as every homeowner knows, it's expensive to do that. And all of the organizations and agencies in Santa Cruz County that are engaged in managing land know that this is something that we need money for, and that's why we need Measure Q. Measure Q would create Santa Cruz County's first locally controlled, dedicated public source of funding for taking collective action to manage the impacts of climate change on our land base. It would help us to reduce wildfire risk, protect clean beaches and water sources, and enhance wildlife habitat. It would do that by creating an $87 annual parcel tax that would drive $7.3 million in annual capacity for these activities, accomplished by the agencies and organizations that already know how to accomplish fire risk reduction, water quality protection, clean parks and beaches and wildlife habitat. On top of that, it would create a dedicated source of matching funds to pair with even larger sources of federal and state resources to accomplish these urgent projects, meaning that we would be drawing tens of millions of dollars annually to Santa Cruz County to get this important work done, battling climate change. Measure Q would create dedicated funds, not general funds, that would go into a special account that could only be used for the purposes outlined in this act. Measure Q would be overseen by a Citizens Oversight Advisory Board that would be accountable to the citizens, that would set priorities over a 5-year interval, registering what the most important things to do to manage the impacts of climate change on our land base are. By endorsing us, you will be joining a long list of government, nonprofit, and individual supporters, including all of the other Democratic clubs in Santa Cruz County, Senator John Laird, all 5 of our county supervisors, our city council people from all of our cities, the professional firefighters of Santa Cruz County. Thank you. A long list. This is as close to community consensus as we get in Santa Cruz County. Thank you.
Next, we'll hear from the opposition to Measure Q. Welcome.
I'm a lot taller, so I'm gonna say. That's it. I will, yeah. All right. All righty, well, good morning, everybody, and thank you for having us. My name is Mark Carrera, and I'm the fire chief for the Scotts Valley Fire District. And I'm actually representing the Santa Cruz County Fire Chiefs Association. Our association is made up of all the fire chiefs in the county, in your communities, as well as working closely with the county and other groups within it. I had a conversation recently with a local police chief, and he called me and said, "Hey, what do the fire chiefs have against open space?" We have nothing against open space. What we have concerns with this bill or this measure is regarding the use and how these dollars are going to be appropriated. So first and foremost, there's no guarantee that any of these monies can or will be used for wildfire resilience. That's our first concern. Secondly, the independent oversight group that you just heard about is actually going to be appointed by the Board of Supervisors. So they're going to hand select their people to actually oversee the use of these funds. And then lastly, the management of these funds, and I'll talk about this in a little bit. There's a few things that pull really well, and we've been going through this in Scotts Valley. One of them is wildfire resilience. One of them is independent oversight. Some things that don't pull necessarily really well is confidence in county government. And that is going to be the group that's going to be managing and overseeing these funds. There is some guarantees. There's guaranteed funding for the RDC. There's guaranteed funding for the county, and there's guaranteed funding for the cities. But there's no guaranteed funding for the fire districts that represent and protect most of the fire areas within the community. We wouldn't have a problem with this if it wasn't being marketed as a wildfire act or a wildfire bill. The fact that it is in the title and there's no guarantee that any of those funds can be used for that purpose, that's where our concern lies. Really, it should have been named Land Area Protection or Clean Water Act or Clean Water and Recreational Measure. I'm going to read to you some of the things that are going to be in this bill, and I encourage you to actually read the multiple pages that are included in it. It's a fairly long read, but outside of the things that Sarah talked about, there's going to be money for new parks and new trails, parks facilities like bathrooms and playgrounds, after-school programs, senior programs, wildlife bridges and corridors. These are where some of these funds are going to go, if not all of those funds. The group that's regarding independent oversight, I've already talked about that a little bit. Over 50% of this is going to be managed by the 2 county departments, Parks and OR3, the Office of Response Resilience and Recovery. It's going to be approved by the Board of Supervisors, and it's going to be recommended by the supervisory appointed oversight board. They are going to be charged with writing a 5-year plan, but who's going to support that 5-year plan? Likely county government. The county is also the best one posed to have those matching funds available. So what this appears to be to us is an example where the groups that are going to be managing is going to be an opportunity to move monies around within the budget to free up funds for other things and then use it towards these other programs that are in it. We have some experience with this within the county. Prop 172, $20 million comes into the county from Proposition 172 that was passed many years ago. That $20 million is supposed to be used for public safety. We get less than 1% of it. Of the $20 million, $100,000 goes to the local fire departments within the county. So we have experience with the county and how this actually works. Many of us have taken oaths of office to protect our jobs and protect our communities. And we see this as a dereliction of our duties if we weren't actually out speaking against it. We have nothing against open space. This, honestly, it pains me to be in front of you today to speak against this measure. I spend a lot of my time up in the woods. I spend time in the San Vicente Redwood Park. If you haven't had a chance, I'd really encourage you to look at their pit toilets. They're some of the most nicely decorated pit toilets in the entire state. As well as I spent 8 years on my parks board advocating within my home community before I came to California for protecting open space. We see the nexus between healthy communities and the reduction of EMS incidents that we go. So again, our concern is focused on, there's no guarantee that these funds will be used for wildfire protection resilience. There's a long list of other items that these funds can be used with. And the fact that it's being marketed as a wildfire resilience act is very concerning to many of, or all the fire chiefs. So thank you very much. And I appreciate your time.
Next, we'll hear from the proponent for Measure V. Yeah, 5 minutes.
Good morning, everyone. I'm right between Sarah and the fire chief, so I'm going to take a seat here. My name is Caitlin Broon. I'm a county resident, and I'm delighted to be with you this morning to ask for your endorsement of Measure V. I wanted to start by just stating why Measure V matters. As all of you here know, civic engagement in all its forms is important, especially in this day and age. We are a diverse community, and Watsonville is made up of smart, talented, hardworking people. Measure V helps to ensure that we tap their knowledge to guide the city forward, ensuring that all Watsonville residents are eligible to serve on commissions and drive the city in the right direction. What Measure V does, Measure V amends the city charter to remove the voter registration requirement to be considered for service on a board or commission appointment. Instead, the appointment requirement will be changed to Watsonville city residency. Why this matters? This strengthens the opportunity for civic engagement for all residents. Some of Watsonville's long-standing, highly contributing residents are unable to vote. Measure V ensures the city benefits from the insights of integral and knowledgeable long-term city residents. Measure V aligns with state, regional, and other charter cities' best practices. The state of California, the city and county of Santa Cruz, and most charter cities currently allow all residents to serve on commissions regardless of citizenship or voter registration. And in so doing, it builds trust. Expanding civic engagement to all residents means that all residents' voice and experience matter and are considered in shaping decisions. This helps engender trust in local government. Watsonville City Council would retain ultimate authority as boards and commissions are advisory bodies to Watsonville City Council. All members of the board and commissions are appointed by and serve at the pleasure of City Council. And only Watsonville City Council members have the authority to appoint commissioners and approve commission recommendations. Therefore, we believe any safeguards of abuse of this measure would be in place. So thank you very much for your serious consideration of an endorsement. Measure fee.
So there's someone from the opposition to Measure E approved. They didn't get back to me. Another one or two. Okay, so we have that information. Next, we're gonna move on to Measure X. So the proponent for Measure X, please come to the podium. Only big D here. All right. Okay, Jack. Jack Tillis will tell us about the argument in favor of the proponent for Measure X. Get away.
Thank you. I really do want to talk about Measure X. I just didn't hear it. Anyway, I'm happy to be here. Thank you to the Democratic Women's Club for inviting us here, and it's a pleasure to be here. So I am Jack Dillis, City Council member of the City of Scotts Valley. I'm also a BWC member, and I'm here to talk about Measure X, which is about the Scotts Valley business tax. So Scotts Valley has had a business tax since at least 1992. Last time we changed it was in 1992, which was a long time ago. These fees are paid only by businesses, and it's an antiquated system because it's based on the old way of doing business. And because the fees have not changed since 1992, 32 years ago, even while inflation has gone up by 250%. The existing fees were based primarily upon the number of employees that a business has. That made more sense 32 years ago because most businesses had, the scale of their business related in many ways to the number of employees they have. The economy has really changed. We have particularly a lot of large businesses with very few employees, some in the tech area. And so what Measure X would do is to change the structure so it's based upon gross receipts, how much revenue comes into the business, and to charge big businesses a higher rate than smaller businesses. We consider that somewhat inequitable. So we want to scale it so that a small business pays a minimal amount, the larger businesses pay more. Currently, businesses pay a minimum of $90. There's a $50 base fee and a $40 for each employee that they have. So they pay that once a year. And so some businesses pay the $90 and one pays up to $31,000 because they have a lot of employees. The range would increase to a minimum of $150 and it would go up to, we have a cap of $81,000. The new rates charged would range from 0.05% of gross receipts, which is really a tiny number, we think very fair, up to 0.18% of gross receipts. We still think that's a very low number. Except we would charge more for storage facilities. We charge 0.5% because we see that we have more police calls to our storage facilities. Unfortunately, they have more activities require the police to show up. Our streets, parks, and other vital services are provided by city employees. We know we must pay these employees enough to attract them and keep them, particularly in the economy that we're in now, besides being the right thing to do. We're proud of our town. We're proud of the work that our employees accomplish. It's really a team effort. The city needs funds to provide these services that the community expects from us. Services like streets and parks really need to be improved. We do the best we can. Our parks are used a lot and they're suffering because of a lack of money and a lack of staff. Currently, the city has a structural deficit of $2 million per year. And as a finance person, I know that we can't do that for very long. So what this tax would do, the increase would be $750,000 a year, which would put a serious dent in our deficit and it would help us quite a bit. Again, these fees would be only paid by businesses, unlike the other tax and bond measures in the county, on the ballot in the county. It would be on countywide ballots. But again, this is the only one that taxes just businesses as opposed to all the residents. So we're asking for the endorsement of Measure X to help us win this campaign so we can pay for the level of services that Scotts Valley residents need and expect from us. Thank you for your consideration.
Now opposition to Measure X. I didn't hear back from them, but they're here, they have, come on. Once again, any opposition to Measure X? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. Next is Measure Y. Have the proponents to Measure Y please come up. Welcome. You have 5 minutes to explain why we should vote for Measure Y. Why we should endorse it.
Why we should endorse. Good morning, everyone. I'm 5'3" on a good day, so I don't know if I stand or sit, so I'm wearing the tall shoes. Good morning, I'm Yvette Brooks, and I am a Capitola City Councilwoman and an endorser of Measure Y. So we're going down the alphabet if you haven't figured that one out on Y on your vote, your ballot today. So I also want to thank Councilmember Peterson for being here, who's also a supporter of our measure. And you heard it from candidate Melinda Orbach from Capitola City Council, who's also here supporting this measure this morning. So in 2016, Capitola voters overwhelmingly approved Measure F, a 10-year 0.25% sales tax to revitalize our oceanfront infrastructure, including the flume, jetty, and iconic Capitola Wharf. We're pleased to report that through careful planning, these projects, including the impressive $11 million renovation of the wharf, have been completed ahead of schedule. So now the city proposes an early repeal of Measure F to be replaced by a new 0.5% sales tax initiative to secure Capitola's financial future. This new measure addresses financial challenges due to inflation and the expiration of Measure F in 2027. With this step, the city can avoid a likely deficit in the next few years. The proposed 0.5 sales tax will help Capitola sustain vital services such as providing for our police and our workforce, enhancing public safety, and maintaining our beautiful parks, beaches, and wharf, and improving our streets, infrastructure, and recreation programs. This measure is also crucial for securing nearly $8 million in federal funding to stabilize Cliff Drive against coastal erosion. After careful consideration, the City Council determined that a sales tax is the fairest way to address our budget challenges. Both visitors and residents contribute to our local economy, sharing the responsibility of maintaining our community's well-being. Importantly, city staff estimates that less than 1/3 of Capitola's sales tax revenue is paid by residents. The vast majority is paid by our visitors. Even with this new measure, Capitola will maintain the lowest tax in the cities and within the county, staying 0.5% below other cities' rates. Capitola is a special community that we cherish. We've been endorsed by our police association, our local labor union, our DCC just recently, and all of our council members. So even though this seems like a lot, but it's only a 0.25% increase, we encourage all of you living in Capitola to vote yes on Measure Y to protect Capitola's future. Thank you so much.
There was no opposition filed to this measure.
Say it again,
Because
Mike. Say it again.
There was no opposition filed. Taxes are always difficult to pass, so we decided we'd like Capitola to speak in favor of it. Our last presentation will be first from the proponents of Measure Z in the city of Santa Cruz. Take it away. You have 5 minutes.
Good morning. You made it to Z, so thank you for staying with us. So we really appreciate this opportunity to speak with you all about Yes on Z, which is a 2-cent tax on sugary sweetened beverages. And we want to thank you, more importantly, for your commitment to the Democratic Party. My name is Martine Watkins, and I am joined here alongside 2 colleagues, Shepherd Kalantari Johnson, Sonia Bruner. We all serve on your Santa Cruz City Council. The November ballot will be an important election, and I don't need to tell this group why. but it is about our national fight for democracy, but it's also about our local fight for democracy. In 2018, the Santa Cruz City Council wanted to bring to our voters a question of whether or not to have a sugary sweetened beverage tax. And special interests strong-armed our state legislators to pass a law that has been proven to be unconstitutional. And we won a case proving that. We prevailed in that case in terms of the constitutionality and overreach of the state government on local jurisdictions. And if passed, we continue to aspire to succeed again and open up our responsibility to allow our voters to hold democracy in their own hands for their own communities. This is not about special interests driving our policy. So I want to say a little bit about what Measure Z is, and really answer a few questions. It's about highly sweetened sugar beverages. And I just want to say for a quick display, in a 12-ounce soda, it's not 1 or 2 sugar packets. It's 3, it's 4, it's 5, it's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 and a half sweetened packets in one soda. That's what we're talking about, highly sweetened beverages. We are here because we want to also talk a little bit about what our community is up against. We are up against a committee that has been filed by out-of-town consultants paid for by the American Beverage Association. This is on their filing. And they are the Committee for Affordable Santa Cruz, yet they don't reside here. And they are paying canvassers from outside of our community to speak on their behalf. So we want to say what this is. This is truly a small 2-cent tax on the point of distribution for sugar sweetened beverages. It means the distributor of 1 soda with 16 packets of sugar would pay 24 cents extra for that soda. It's really as simple as that. It's not a tax applied at the register. It's only applied to overly sweetened beverages that are proven to be harmful to people's health. And it's not a burden on small businesses. It's an opportunity for us to have the healthy choice be the easy choice. Measure Z is a progressive policy that redistributes resources from higher to lower income households, benefiting those most affected by health disparities. We've seen this work in Berkeley and San Francisco and in over 100 countries across the world. This has been endorsed by the World Health Organization. What is not equitable is the industry intentionally targeting youth, BIPOC, lower income individuals, impacting health disparities among these populations. We've seen this before, right? Big tobacco. So did you all know that SSBs are the leading source of refined sugar in the American diet, contributing to 20% of type 2 diabetes nationwide and tooth decay? Santa Cruz health data shows that in our community, obesity rates are highest among Latinos, and the health impacts on youth, particularly BIPOC communities, are alarming and above state averages. Measure Z is estimated to generate 1.3 million. These funds would be reinvested into our community and put towards essential city programs and initiatives that will help keep Santa Cruz safe, healthy, and thriving. These efforts have led to real results. We've seen that consumption has decreased in other communities and obesity rates have decreased in other communities. Don't we want that for Santa Cruz?
I just want to conclude here that a yes on Z vote means that you are supporting and investing funds going into our community that we can drive to health initiatives that will be oversought. We have growing support and endorsers, including the Democratic Central Committee, the NAACP Santa Cruz, Dientes Community Health, local-owned businesses, Santa Cruz County Office of Education, superintendents, local teachers, nonprofits, parents, your neighbors, families, seniors, all endorse and support this wonderful way, simple to drive funds into our community. Thank you.
Anyone from the opposition to Measure Z here? Please come on. You have 5 minutes to explain your opposition to Measure Z.
Hi, everyone. How y'all doing today? Good? Okay, I know. It's like, wait, what? I'm like, what? I'm a health advocate myself, and honestly, I just want to say that the Pro and Measure Z folks like Sonia and Martine, I work with them in all these different projects, and so I actually really admire their leadership and their work, and so I have nothing against them personally. I have a lot of love for you. I'm just here to share. I'm not a paid canvasser. I'm just here to share like my thoughts on why I don't like the tax, and I think it'd be great to connect and figure out how we can build a way forward. No matter what happens this November, what they said, what Martine said is absolutely correct. Diabetes and all these health outcomes are a huge problem. My father has high blood pressure. I've had family members that have died from heart disease. So this is a real issue in our community that really we need to take seriously. The main issue I just disagree on is raising the cost of groceries. You know, I'm reminded the last time I was in this space in the Santa Cruz Police Department was when we were here because there was a whole bunch of discriminatory attacks going on around town. You know, the Black Lives Matter mural was skirted. We had nooses raised on campus. And I remember during that time, Kamala Harris's team, her people had reached out to me and said, hey, like, how do we support you? What can we do to help these efforts? And that's when I knew that Kamala Harris and all of her work are really grounded in grassroots efforts and grassroots support. And that's why they have so much energy and excitement with the youth, because the youth are like, yes, like we have somebody who we think, you know, really are going to advance these issues. And so when I think about Kamala Harris's leadership, I think about her current policies that she just put in place right now. She just released a whole economic plan around reducing the cost of groceries, understanding that everyday Americans are struggling very much so to be able to afford the cost of living. I can speak as a young person right now, and especially as a UCSC student, you know, former student, that it is so hard to get by in Santa Cruz. Rent is already so high. I don't disagree with any of the health initiatives and intentions. I just disagree that we should be including this tax right now on people that are currently struggling right now and just making it hard to get by. I'm so for being able to build a culture, PSAs, being able to influence our community to be able to choose better. And I think the difference between this and tobacco is, like I said to Martine earlier, you know, tobacco tax, you know, it was because it was affecting other people too. You know, you do secondhand smoke, other people get asthma, you know, it has impacts. Whereas this is really limited to the individual. And I will just say that for me, I use juices and, you know, other, you know, drinks to be able to make my smoothies. So it's not that like you have to use these drinks, you know, for just its individual consumption. I personally don't drink soda. So like, listen to me, I'm not here advocating for soda or advocating for any of these drinks. I'm just saying that I think it's not the right time right now to be increasing the costs of groceries on anybody. And I think that Democrats have always been known as the party that, you know, espouses freedom of choice, you know, to choose a free and fair democracy, to choose the right to your own body and how to use your body and the right to everything and like that. And so I think if we want to encourage people towards the right way, I think it would be more impactful if we found a way to reduce the cost of healthy GMO foods, if we try to reduce the cost of organic foods, if we try to find ways to actually make it more affordable to be healthy. That incentivizes people to make better choices, not taxing them towards more poverty. And yes, we know that, you know, the lower income people are going to be the ones that are going to face the byproducts of this the hardest. I'm not necessarily going to be negatively affected by this tax, but I know there's so many people who can't be here today who will be. And so I think this is such a hard discussion because I run every single day. I'm a healthy person. I love, and I'm one of the people who have been starting conversations around starting an initiative called You Are What You Eat, which is literally a conversation to talk about how things in your body, you know, determine, you know, your healthy outcomes. I am so for that. And that's why, like, I'm committed no matter what happens, with Sonia to Martine, to making sure that no matter what happens, we do everything we can to make this community more healthier. Like, you guys know me, I've always been a cooperative pro person. I just, you know, this is the one issue in one area where I just have a disagreement on, and, you know, everyone will vote the way they vote, but I just wanted to share my perspective as a young person, somebody who has just found a way to really sustain myself in this community. I know so many people, you know, that get by on noodles and and the bare minimum. We've all been there, and I just don't think this is the moment in the most expensive market in the community to be taxing people more. So that's the only thing I'm against. I'm against raising taxes on the cost. I'm for every single thing they said. And yeah, we do need to take down these predatory big companies that are making it harder to be healthier. And I think we can do it in a really proactive and healthy way. Thank you.
concludes our program.